Once upon a time, in a land far, far away, a Super Smash Bros. Ultimate tournament went down and made competitive history. But somehow, this amazing run was lost to time, remembered by relatively few as the competitor in question quietly retired, and this tournament was forgotten by overseas players. My name's Rister Mice, and today we're pulling that story out of the dusty corner of history that it's been trapped in, taking a step back to recognize how good this run was, and to finally give the player in question the recognition that this run truly deserved. So, without any further ado, let's get right into it. The date is May 21st, 2023, not that long ago. To give context, Kagaribi 10 had just happened a few weeks ago, at the beginning of May, which saw Spargo go on a fantastic losers run to win a tournament. This tournament was historically significant, as it was the first time ever that a non-Japanese player won a Japanese major for Ultimate, and for that matter, a ranked Japanese tournament at all, which includes anything above locals. A lot of players traveled to Japan for Kagaribi 10, and many stayed there for some time for tournaments before and after Kagaribi. However, that doesn't quite apply to the hero of today's story, as he was in Japan longer than any other invader. Allow me to finally introduce you to the main character of this video. This is H4, previously known as H4DS. He's a Pikachu main from Washington, and at the time was a top 5 Pikachu in the world. He's since taken many steps away from competitive Smash, effectively retired, to instead focus on things like triathlons. H4 was staying in Japan long term, not for Smash, but actually just to study abroad. He was there from April to September of 2023, and as a benefit of his study trip, H4 got to attend a lot of Japanese tournaments. He had good placements and wins, especially over players who would eventually become top players. For example, Doramigi. However, despite all this, H4 never really had that massive break, like top 8ing a Japanese major. This brings us back to May 21st, 2023, and a tournament named Sumobato SP38. These days, entries in the iconic Sumobato SP series usually make major status by default. But in 2023, this wasn't quite the case. Sumobato SP38 ranked as a B tier, otherwise known as a super regional. However, if this tournament had happened today with the same entrants, it probably would have been classified as a major, as it had a stacked roster with names like Ashimo, Jogibu, Kananabe, Doramigi, Kome, Level 1, Snow, Sigma, Shirayuki, and so many more names that you likely recognize. This tournament, for all intents and purposes, was as stacked as any Japanese major. H4, entering into this crazy tournament, was placed as the 34th seed. That's not a bad seed by any means. He's seeded to make it out of pools, but it's certainly not anything close to top 8. Starting off the weekend, H4 managed to make it out of pools like he was seeded to, though sadly, none of these sets were streamed. Though just because he made it out doesn't mean that there weren't some close calls. First, H4 won his first set against Nanu, a Ken main, in a 2-0 victory. The only pool set where H4 didn't drop any games. Moving on after this, H4 went up against a Rob main named Elon. This set went to a decisive game 3, but H4 managed to clutch it out and move on in bracket, avoiding the upset. And lastly, in his final pool set, H4 defeated Meiki, a notable Olimar player, in yet another 2-1 victory, moving into top 96 from winner's side after 2 close calls. However, waiting for H4 in top 96 was Jogibu, and this was not a good thing for our hero, as Jogibu, one of Japan's best Captain Falcon mains, was the 2nd seed of the entire tournament. Needless to say, H4 was not projected to win here, but he wasn't about to give up either.
上から復帰は完璧に ちらもまだ帰る。ああ機械がね、おお自動の空中前ジャンプないんじゃない？大丈夫？
素晴らしい投げてから読み合い
見ている
残すマッシュ激きつい果敢に狙っていっていいなと思います。
いや流れを取っているのが先ほどの試合同様 H4 選手。いやすかしつかみが機能している。これは止めてよ。おーっとこれは一流だ。
いや雷見せていく。
ちゃんと読み
持ってきたかったが相手は入らず、しかし果敢に攻めていく。
大ヒッターあるか。いいよ。雷。
And in the end, H4 defeated Jogibu in a close Game 5 set, making a massive upset and casting the second seed down into loser's bracket to eventually place 33rd. After this, H4 moved on and played another set, which other than pools is his only non-streamed set of the entire tournament. H4 defeated Suna, one of Japan's best Greninja mains, in a 3-1. Suna wasn't a top 8 seed like Jogibu was, but was the 18th seed, which is still much higher than H4's seed of 34. And while it's sad that this set wasn't streamed, everything else after this is. And so, H4 moved into winners quarterfinals, only one set away from making top 8 from winner's side. But H4's opponent here was Level 1, a name I'm sure I don't need to introduce to you. These days, Level 1 is seen as the definitive best Toon Link main in the world, with amazing top 3 placements at majors and wins over several top 10 players like Spargo and Hurt. Level 1 is so good that he single-handedly caused several tournaments to retroactively become majors. Here at Sumobato SP38, Level 1 hadn't quite achieved those heights, but he was still very good, being the 7th seed of the tournament. Sounds like we're in for another banger set.
ここは密着を作って空へから下スマッシュですね。まだ撃墜はしないでしょう。さあここの復活して空中前をかわすが二の矢の空中射。さあ戻り船がここで厄介だ。ジャンプ読み、いやー爆弾上投げで、さあおっとうまいですね技選択。空中前から空中下、しかし爆弾復帰にしっかり空中後ろでの追撃確定していますね。さあ H4 選手がさあ空への台を使ってうまくリスクをケアしていきます。前投げ、さあ爆弾も当たってどうするか。あっと石化が出なかったか。パーセントは助かったので今回助かりましたね。掴んで後ろ回避を読んでいる。さあ上ないから雷回避読み、横ビームまでありますしね。さあ空中後ろから DA と読み合い制していく。さあ復帰して空円で落として、これは爆弾復帰かなわず。復帰し雷で追撃からどうするか。空中にたる落として下スマッシュがつながっている。撃墜です。さあここは DA亀ジャンプからうますぎる差し空中前、終点が無駄待ちかと思うんですが、終点ピカチュウは本当に強いですよ。あっとこれは落ちてしまった。崖で横田さん当たればというところ。さあもう一度崖が掴んでいきます。ジャンプ読み、さあ復帰差し、ここで回避を右手の復帰差し決めていくのはH4。
And in yet another close Game 5, H4 defeated Level 1 3-2, moving into winner's side top 8 and casting Level 1 down into the loser's bracket for an eventual 9th place finish as the 7th seed. And so, H4 had made top 8 at a big Japanese tournament, with wins over some of the best players in attendance. Already, this is one of H4's standout performances in the country, but we're not done yet, as H4 entered winner semifinals to go up against Kuropanzu, the highest ranked Rob main in Japan for 2024, being a top 50 player worldwide. Here at Sumobato SP38, Kuropanzu had quite the breakout performance, entering top 8 after having upset Kananabe, Meido, and Showers, all as the 27th seed. A low seed for sure, but not lower than H4's. So with the two biggest breakouts entering into winner semis, let's see which one of them would keep going.
崖展開、空中前最終段が当たって撃墜。これは帰れるか。空中下が置いてやって撃墜。暴れが通ったか。ジ ダイロを電撃で止めて自分のものにする。アームスピン下からうまい。まずは十分な火力でしょう。追いかけて電光石火、空中ショット、多段技、空中に取る、空中前、アームスピン狙っていきましたが、ここはきっちり返っています。メテオを狙いに来る雷、変な位置に当たって撃墜。空円と空中下が打ち、空中前で撃墜。空中下メテオにはならずに逆にアームスピンを狙います。そしてロボットがどこから帰るかというのを全て熟知しているかのような技の置き方、空中後ろで撃墜。
And ultimately, H4 defeated Kuroponzu 3-1, moving into winners finals as the 34th seed and casting Kuroponzu down into the losers bracket for an eventual 5th place finish as the 27th seed after losing to Kome. So now, H4 moved into winners finals in order to face off against the second Toon Link main of the day, 9th seed Sigma, who had just defeated Snow 3-1 in winners semifinals to make it here. Sigma is a bit of an older name for the competitive scene, but at the time, he was still seen as a top 3 Toon Link main worldwide. And at this point in the game's lifespan, was definitely the most accomplished Toon Link main in the world. H4's first set against a Toon Link player had gone to a Game 5, and it's now time to see if the same would happen here in Winners Finals.
横スマッシュ、ブーメラン帰ってくるのも分かってワンテンポずらしたがキャンつかみお見事。そしてこれは帰れるんだが、しかし気づけば追いついている。 DA 回避を釣って空中下爆弾、お見事、空中下でブーメラン帰ってきて電光石火で帰ってくる。この空中下やはりうまい。 DA で撃墜、ストップ追いついた。ここからまた根性値を見せる前に撃墜。おっと爆発して空中目が刺さって122。なんとそこで横 B での不起訴を狙える。爆弾持っててよかった。しかしその後 DA 上から帰ります。そして爆弾を落として一旦崖に行かざるを得ない超ピカチュウ。横強転がり上がり読んでたが、ブーメランが助けに来る。雷で撃墜。一旦台に行く。爆弾両者に当たってしまう。転がり上がりをラインを入れ替えた。五分の展開が続いている。空中に取る、掴んで上投げ、雷が匂ってくる、撃墜。
And in the end, H4 defeated Sigma 3-1, needing less games than versus level 1, but with the same outcome nonetheless. With this victory, H4 moved into grand finals from winner's side, and Sigma was sent down into losers finals for an eventual 3rd place finish as the 9th seed. That's right, Sigma wouldn't be the one making it back up into grand finals, nor would it be any of the other players H4 has played at this tournament, like Jogibu, Level 1, or Kuroponzu. No. Instead, it was the current best Mario player in the world, Snow, who came up into grand finals from loser's side. These days, Snow is ranked as the 18th best player in the world, but that ranking is sure to rise by the end of the year, because in just this season alone, Snow has defeated Sonics, Akola, and Hurt. Not to mention having previous wins over the likes of Mia, Shuton, Raru, Doramigi, MK Leo, and more. There's no doubt that Snow is one of the highest risen stars of 2024. And even back in 2023, Snow was a formidable fighter. And despite having been sent into loser's bracket early by Sigma, he had won the run back and made it all the way to grand finals. Looking at this bracket with perfect hindsight, we can see that this is going to be H4's hardest fought battle yet. But H4, coming from winner's side, had a clear advantage. It's time to see whether or not H4 could go that extra mile and win Sumobato SP 38.
第38回スマバト SP グランドファイナル勝者側 H4、敗者側スノーということで参りましょう。空中前上からかぶせてフックスで狙っていく。お見事。電撃電光石火マントで返して、どっちが展開作るかと思ったら
空中しろ。空中したらメテオ。なんだこのピカチュウは。止まらないぞ。なんとこのピカチュウ空中へ雷を回避に合わせて空中下で暴れ。空中前一応ピカチュウ復帰阻止撃墜。
And in the end, H4 didn't even break a sweat. He defeated Snow 3-0, the only set since his first back in pools where he didn't drop any games. With that, Snow was eliminated at second place and H4 became the winner of Sumobato SP38 as the 34th seed. This victory here was incredibly historic. Of course, Spargo made history just a short while before this tournament by being the first non-Japanese invader to win a ranked Ultimate tournament in Japan. But what's often forgotten is that H4 was the very close second to this title, winning a tournament that, if it had gone down today, would indubitably have been a major tournament. And along the way, H4 defeated worldwide recognized talents. Players like Snow and Level 1 that have become staples of the scene in the current day. But sadly, no one really talks about this run much these days, which I think is a tragedy. H4 went on to quietly retire from Smash as a whole, really only attending tournaments to spectate and hang out, which I want to clarify is a totally valid decision. But with this video, hopefully we'll be able to bring this tournament out of the depths of Smash history and finally give it some well-deserved recognition. And with that, I've been Mr. Mice, and thank you all so very much for watching.